All right, so let's pretend. Okay, just treat on Annie. Sorry, Annie.
It's Annie, not Annie.
As a guest. And what do you want to talk about first?
Jennifer Love Hewitt. Remember? Okay, yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt. So there is a picture going viral of Jennifer Love Hewitt. And if anybody for some reason doesn't know who Jennifer Love Hewitt is, she is an actress. She got big in the, what was it, late 90s, early 2000s.
Party of Five, right?
Yeah, she was on Party of Five. She was in the film I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Joe, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Scream Queen vibes from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. Thanks. And so she was 18 when she did a lot of that stuff in the early 90s. And she had a certain look. I even remember people back then talking about like she was very large chested and, you know, was a very pretty girl. Well, she's now 46, I think, 2025. She is going viral because everybody is talking about how thick she is, the weight she has put on. I have seen a lot of comments that are very positive, but apparently this is like an issue now on social media is her weight and her body and how she looks is a huge topic of discussion.
Give me your thoughts. Roll with it.
I think she's beautiful. She is a pretty girl. She always has been. Does she look bigger than she did at 18? Yes. She is now in her 40s. She's had children. I think it would be weird and unrealistic for her body to look like it did at 18 at age 46. But she is just not twig thin like she used to be. I think she looks fine. But internet haters are calling her fat and other people are saying, no, she's a bit curvier, but she's still beautiful. I think she looks fine. What do you think?
I don't really subscribe to this whole thing. Like there's one element that I can comment on, and it's when you build your brand around your aesthetics, that when that brand fades, which it always will, and I think women are super sensitive to growing old, losing their allure, losing their relevance. So if you made an entire career about being beautiful, being big chested, and then that fades, I think the world responds as in, oh shit, your brand is gone. Like there's no way they star you in the big chested movie, pencil thin, whatever. And you know, you can say the same thing about men. Like for instance, Jason Momoa, right? The Rock. Their brand is their aesthetics. They are built like a truck, right? And if it would fade, you would see them not as the person that you sort of like adored, but as a different person. Like there was a movie where Jason Momoa like put on a ton of weight, right? Pot belly, just.
I know he did a commercial where he looked weird.
Maybe it was a commercial.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it was a different Jason Momoa, right?
Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger made an entire career about muscle bound and whatever. And then when you stop doing that, then he's just a regular guy that has extra weight because he was a bodybuilder for his entire career. It's no different. I mean, you just see that as a person that normalized like the rest of us are.
I feel like we kind of saw this with the Tyson fight.
Exactly, Joe. You're spot on. Time changes bodies, and that's just real life. Kelin Joe's killing it with this Jennifer Love Hewitt take, and I'm jumping in with you both on Stock Channel Joe. I'm Annie, by the way. Nice to vibe with you. That viral pic of JLH at 46, shot at her birthday bash per E! News, is getting everyone heated, and I'm calling it the Eternal Siren Saga. She's not that twig-thin 18-year-old from Party of Five anymore. 3 kids, life, and still owning it with curves, that's fire. Like Joe said,
all right, thanks for catching up. We're all right. So as I was saying, I feel like we saw this with the Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knew him as like Iron Mike and this super badass and this tough guy and this big fighter with a lot of speed and power. Well, obviously, years later, into retirement, older, knee injury, he's not going to look and seem as though he's the same sort of powerhouse as he was years ago. And that's just how people are. We age, things change. I guess I could see that the brand changing is like your brand. Now she is still acting and she is still in other roles. And it's not like her career died because she looks different. But it is interesting to see. I do think, do you think women hear about it more than men do when they change?
Well, I think it comes from women because women have a lot of anxiety about the things that they leverage to be successful and have prosperity. That has 100% certainty that fades. Yeah. And when it fades, like, what else do you have? So let's just say Einstein, famous for his mathematics, right? What happens if Einstein, towards the latter part of his life, just turned into a dumb shit? Do we still say, well, no, it's still Einstein. He's a dumb shit now, right? But it's still Einstein. We should still revere him. And it's like, no, like, the thing you did had a short shelf life. And once that faded, then you really didn't have, you were a one trick pony and that was your thing. And I'm not going to listen to you now because now you're a dumb shit.
Even if it was a shallow thing, it was your
that was thing. Your brand. That's what you did. You knew when you were playing in that sandbox that's what you were playing with. And it makes room for the next big busted
AI person to come in and totally replace you.
But you have to know that when you're treading on that brand, that if it's a short shelf life, you have to start stacking up other things to be famous for, right? And it works sort of in the reverse too, like Adele and Lizzo and Jelly Roll. Like, we liked them when they were big people. All right. I
was thinking of you talked about when the people's weight change. What's the actor? There's like Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people think Jonah Hill wasn't as popular.
We capture when we fall in love and adore with someone in the public realm. When they change, we make comment on it, whether or not they get smaller or they get bigger or they do something different. Kathy Griffin's like, did you see those pictures of Kathy Griffin?
I saw something. Holy she looked like her face is all...
Dude, she is decaying in front of us. She is zombifying in front of us. The public life must be so stressful that you just fall apart.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of... I don't know. She was very critical of a lot of people, and so when she gets it back, like, I don't even feel bad about that at all.
She got totally canceled once, and then she kind of tried to claw her way back into show business, and then people I don't think were very responsive of that, and I think her mental health is deteriorating, for sure. And we can see it on her face.
And I will say it for Carter. It is TDS is what is affecting them all. Sarah Silverman's another one that I feel is probably so on edge that she's going to decay as well.
You think so?
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, both?
Both, yeah.
Sarah Silverman. Does she look different? I've not seen her lately.
I haven't either. It's probably on purpose because she probably looks like the Crypt Keeper at this point. Anybody with TDS decays very quickly because it's such in their soul.
Rosie O'Donnell?
Oh, man. Rosie O'Donnell was never a spectacle anyhow, but she's probably unhinged.
She was kind of one of those funny while heavier people, I think.
Chris Farley, we adore people in a snapshot, and when they change, that's when we take notice. So whether or not Jennifer Love Hewitt put on some extra pounds, I don't effing care, right?
Yeah.
But I do, I could have suggested to her when she was 18 that, hey girl, right? Your acting is just mediocre, right? People love you because you are a crush. You are very good looking. When the movie says that you should be in bra and panties, it's because you are really good to look at. And so you might want to develop some skill set above the aesthetics so that when that stuff fades, that you have something to fall back on. So when the football player, I'm going to tell him, study math, physics, or business, because once the football career is done, you're going to need something that when you can't score touchdowns anymore, you can't run super fast anymore, you're going to have something to fall back on.
Well, and I feel like though people in the entertainment industry are told by their handlers or whatever, managers, people in their realm, that your fallback on needs to happen with Botox, with a little lift, with a little this. And then they end up looking ridiculous because they ruin their face. But they were told, this is your new brand. This is your new thing. If you want to keep up, if you want to work, you've got to do this to look a certain way. And then when it goes awry, they're like, ugh, sucks to be you. You ruined your brand. It's like they can't win.
Well, okay, so if that person who was telling you to do all that stuff bought into you and made you prosperous, don't you kind of owe that person to stay in that brand? So if I hired you and contracted you to be funny, get on stage and tell jokes, right? It would be in my interest. I believed in you and made you where you were, where you got, made you what you became and enabled you to get where you went, right? Now, what all of a sudden if you're like, I don't want to tell jokes anymore. I want to do theatrical performances. The transaction is like, no,
slam poetry.
No. You were appealing to me because you were a brand that I could market and make prosperous. You owe me to still tell jokes and to be funny because that's what we agreed on. That's the promise.
Yeah, but what do you do when your agreement's based on something you can't control? You're going to age. Your face is going to change.
Well, and that's why the suggestion to stay in that mode as long as possible, right? So that everybody can make money during your prime time. And then once you sunset and you don't have those things anymore, would you, to prolong the thing that made everybody money, would you sort of like doubt them that should be a good strategy? No. Would you want a football player to play into their 40s? Of course. The manager's like, every year I get with this guy, right? Every contract I negotiated, the longer I get out of him, the better.
I guess you kind of have to go into it with that mindset that this is temporary because what I have to offer right now is temporary and it 100%. Will change. And what does that look like down the road? And how do I set myself up for that maybe?
Right.
And
yeah, if you use the skill set, if you use the attribute that people are watching you for, and you don't consider the fact of when, would they still like me if I didn't have the tits that I have and the scantily cladness that I'm willing to put on the screen, right? If you don't plan beyond that, like that's on you. That's not on the viewership. That's not on the fans.
Yeah, Patricia says Brendan Fraser took a lot of flack for gaining weight, but not sure if he gained it for a movie. He did. He did the movie Whale, and he was very, very large in Whale. Probably why it was called Whale. But it worked out for him. Didn't he win like awards and stuff for that? Right. But that is going to drastically changed his brand. He looks totally different.
Yeah, but you can't condemn the superficial on the downside if you didn't acknowledge that it was superficial on the upside. Like, were we watching Jennifer Love Hewitt for her acting prowess, right?
Maybe.
Okay, were the women saying she's very pretty and she's beautiful and she plays those roles well? Or... right? Was it something else? Was it like she can do theater? Like that girl, she's on.
I think she was a good actress. You don't think so? I'll be honest, I've only ever seen her in I Know What You Did Last Summer. I've not really watched her in anything else. So I don't know.
And I know you're willing to lend a little bit, feel bad for her. Like it's going to be hard to read. Right, that she's not the actress she was when she was in her 20s. It's hard to read. So you feel for her.
She might be better. I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But if she is, and she's still playing roles, and we don't even look at her as the same girl that was on the screen in her 20s, then she just picked up on the back nine.
Yeah.
And she did it, and that's what's to be expected.
I mean, I've even heard like even in with models, a lot of people will say models, once you hit 35-ish, like you're done. You're done. You just are. This is just what the industry is. And very, very few famous models continue modeling until later ages. And it's like, so yeah, are you less inclined to have mental health issues about that if you go in knowing this is my game plan for 10 years? That's all I got.
And when I'm done with it, I'm out of the public spotlight. I've made my money when I leveraged and capitalized on something that I was blessed with, and that's it. It's got 10 years.
Yeah. It is sad though. I think, I mean, I don't know if it's
what's sad about
these industries that your looks are what it is. And then I think people feel like they're getting told you no longer have your looks, go do something else, which makes sense if you go into it knowing that will happen. But I can't imagine that hurts any less. I can't imagine someone's like, wow, that's like a punch in the face of change. And
okay, so let's just say someone ultra beautiful that had big tits, right?
Such a crude word.
But okay, so they were well endowed in the chestal area. All right. So they knew like I could use this and make a lot of money, but I'm gonna downplay it. I'm gonna put what are those things? Chest compressors or whatever.
Oh, like when they bind their
chest binder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a chest binder, and I'm gonna doctor myself up so that you can't tell that I have the looks that I
like
do.
Like Charlize Theron in Monster.
I'm gonna make it in spite. So I'm gonna take all of my, and then as I age out and I lose all of those things, I will lose none of the allure because people fell in love with me not for things that I leveraged that I knew were gonna fade. It was my performance that they fell in love with, and they don't care what I look like. But if you use it, right, I don't feel bad at all when you lose it at all.